Guys, guys, where's there, where's everybody at? Hey, this is super producer Joel Holt here, filling in for the whole show. It's the first time I've ever had to do this. So I got Breeze Nation with me. Let's do this. So we're here on a Friday, and we're going to get in a couple topics here. So I'm the only guy in the building. So you're. Shout out to Breeze Nation, who we got out here. Number one, and we got Jay Grizz in the building, Noah P, Catfish, Alex Houston, Daryl Davis, Crimson, You Dig, Daniel Berry, and Nate Built It. So real quick as we get into this, man, how's everybody doing out there, Breeze Nation? So real quick as we go into, we got a couple of topics here. Secondary big losses, Caleb's coronation, Rome. Will he have a breakout game? And we got the Friday free for all. So make sure that please like and subscribe to the page. And this is so crazy to me. So we're gonna go ahead and get into topic number one, which is the secondary with the big losses. And unfortunately, y'all, we just heard about Tyreek Stevenson. Unfortunately, him dealing with a calf injury. So it's like we've already lost Jaquan Brisker. You got, now you got we basically got the calf injury with Stevenson. And so it's like, how does this affect, the Bears game going into against Jacksonville, And with that happening, like as confident as we are that the Bears could win, are we in a situation where, technically that Jacksonville has an issue in terms of having one of the worst secondaries in the league. So will that, in terms of our secondary being able to stop them, does that affect us being able to stop, Sunshine? Let me know what you guys are thinking in the chat. I see Drew was going on. Hey man, I'm here. We do this at 4, so typically nobody's here at 4, so it's it's no big deal. I think I can handle it. I got everything looking good. I got the graphics going. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, with the secondary being affected like that, I mean, hopefully with Stevenson being out, it doesn't create a situation where hopefully, I mean, he's able to get over it, right? He's able to come back. And then we're only losing Brisker for 1 week. So I'm hoping that it gets to a situation where we're not dealing with, a huge drop-off. Because one of the other situations that you have going on is that they basically are saying that starting in place of them will be Elijah Hicks is going to start at safety with Brisker. And then Jalen Jones or Josh Blackwell could start at cornerback if Stevenson, with him being out. So it's going to be interesting to see how our secondary holds up against this team. I mean, technically, it shouldn't. I was looking up some stats, looking up some numbers, and, the Jaguars, for the most part, I mean, they're averaging like 19 points a game. And their opponents are giving up like 28.6 points a game. Total points, they're doing like 97 versus the opponent's 143. So it's not like this offense is really lighting things up. But I definitely wouldn't want it to be that, you take this team for granted when it comes to, get to a point. Shout out to Baki. Since super producer Joel is here. Well, get ready for saying we are still in a rebuild. And Baki, you are 100% right. We are in a rebuild. And see, what happens is he sacrificed the off. No, to your point though, no, it's not that. It's just that with our team is still growing, which is true. But I am definitely looking at this should still be a good game. I'm just hoping that we'll see what the coaching is like with Eberflus. Seeing, I mean, he is strong as a defensive coordinator. So for the most part, being able to, call a good game. Will we have the personnel in place to, go against and hopefully still create turnovers? I mean, the whole thing is that with the pressure of our D-line, I'm glad that our D-line is still healthy. So with that being said, does it still create coverage sacks? Are we still able to get pressure? Because I still think that Sunshine is going to give up that ball. I think we're going to get at least a couple interceptions. So with that being said, it's like hopefully with Brisker coming back next week, you got Stevenson out. We should hopefully be back in another week because then we got the bye week, right? So then like you said, Drew, yeah, sticking to the game plan. The game plan is the key. What about Reddy Stewart? Did Reddy Stewart make like the practice squad? I don't know if he actually made the actual roster. When I look at that, I don't think Reddy Stewart is no, he was just he's not in there. So, um, you know, we're at a point where this should be a winnable game. I mean, the Bears come out 4-2 is a good look, especially going into the bye week. So, um, I'm definitely, let's see as I roll through some of these comments and just see what's happening here. So, Hicks over Owens is interesting. Will they have a short leash if Hicks looks bad? I mean, you got to perform. What I'd like to see is, do we see a little bit more out of Austin Booker? You know, and or do we see another big game? Maybe the alternate thing is that Bayard, he might have to cover a little bit more, right? Because now that he'll basically be that top safety. I mean, Brisker is definitely that strong safety that's basically being able to hammer home and tackle, and blitz packages, things of that nature. So that's already a hit as it is. And then we got our with Stevenson going down as our nickel guy. We're going to see how that plays out. Let's see. They said, come on. Crimson said, come on. The Jags are one of the only teams with the worst secondary lines. I hear you. I don't think that's not my issue. I think us being able to, score on them shouldn't be a problem. It's just, again, will the team stay disciplined, stay focused with like losing some of these guys, it does hurt. Like you can only lose so many people before it really does take an effect. Losing Brisker, like I said, losing Stevenson, now we still got our corners. I mean, they're still shutting down half the field with Jalen Johnson. Jalen, he's still a serious problem. So in terms of that, it's really more about who's the underneath guy. I mean, does that mean Brian Thomas? Is it Brian Thomas Jr.? Does that mean that, who else would take over that would be even a threat as a receiver? As Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., I think Gabe Davis, they have him as questionable right now. Evan Ingram is questionable. So, is there a possible exposure? But if our D-line is getting after Trevor Lawrence, it may not matter. It may not matter at all. So from there, I have high hopes for that. I don't think that we're going to be really in a bad situation. And with that being said, we can just go ahead and move on to this next topic. Our next topic coming up is Caleb's coronation. And with that being said, are we at a point where if Caleb wins this game, which we think he should, are we in a situation where, has he really arrived? We've definitely seen the trends of him just getting better as a quarterback. Like I said, the Panthers game was a good game. It was a building block. Jacksonville, I'm not going to look at them as they're on the lower echelon of teams, that's for sure. But with that, we should beat them. But does Caleb, establish himself and really start to take root as he's growing as a rookie quarterback? And, there was a comment that that Ryan Poles had put out as I pulled that up on the screen here. And basically, I like what Ryan Poles' comments was saying. He was like, you've seen that in terms of the efficiency, protecting the football, taking what's given to him and then going into the last game. And now explosives are starting to show up, So I really like his progress. I love the work ethic and the time that he's put into it, the grit and toughness, the ability to bounce back from tough games. So, he's getting the praise from the GM. He's getting better each game. I was actually pulling up some numbers, some preliminary numbers, and just for the sake of it, right? I looked up I was comparing basically Caleb Williams rookie year with Mitch Trubisky's 2017 year, right? I'm looking at Justin Fields' 2021 year. But then I'm looking at Kyle Orton's 05 year, Peyton Manning's 1998 year, Andrew Luck's 2012 year. He was a rookie in 2012, CJ Stroud 2023, Baker Mayfield in 2018, and Matt Stafford rookie year 09. And, clearly I feel bad for Kyle Orton. Kyle Orton's numbers was just pretty bad. I mean, 141 yards, 150, 117, 145, 230 in week 7, that might have been his highest. That was his highest yardage amount was 230 yards for the game, maybe 207 in week 13. 66. He was in a 60% completion percentage here and there, but then he had some 46%, 54. So, unfortunately, just seeing that, compared to Justin Fields as well. I mean, he had 10 yards his first game. 100, it was pretty bad that first game. 60 yards passing, 68, 209, 111, 174, 184, 175, 291 in week 9. Now, I'm not counting the rushing yards because I know that, basically, it helps that, those numbers help with his performance overall. And real quick, we got to pause. We got over 100 in the chat. So, the guys, oh my God, this is hilarious. But back to my point of just seeing the trajectory where Caleb is, it's like he's already establishing some things. I mean, Baker Mayfield actually had a really good rookie year. Like he was throwing 200, 295, 342 in week 5. He threw for 238 week 6, week 7, 215, week 9, 297. He threw for 397 in week 13, 284, 376. And, he had some completions where it's 81% complete, 67% completion. Peyton Manning came out the gate, 302 yards his first year, 188 the second game, 193 the third. The fourth game, he was 309 yards with 59% completion. And then he kind of he had his moments. So he had 137, 235, 231, 278, 140. 164, 357 yards. So but Peyton he put together where more so of 300-yard games. Seeing what Caleb's doing, where he threw for 363 in week 3, he threw for 304 yards last week. Does he come out with another 300-some yard game against this Jaguars team? I think he might be poised to do that. Does he get a 300? Does he get 300 plus? And are we happy with that? Or are we happy that he still stays around 250 because we won the game? But does he have the ability where maybe he has a bigger game because of this opponent? But just seeing his trajectory compared to some of the other quarterbacks with the Bears quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford, we've got that guy, which is great. And he's getting better every week. And so I like seeing that with the fact that polls, the fact that DJ Moore is saying that, he's being bossy. He's taking ownership. He's really owning, the Bears in terms of the locker room, in terms of being a leader. That's what the Bears have sorely needed for so long in terms of just combining the mentality with the talent. We've had some guys that were talented to a degree, but the work ethic, the ability, all those things, the leadership, all that type of stuff. So, let's see. Rob Mantel said Caleb's middle of the pack in yards after the terrible start. Is pretty good growth. And he said Caleb's big game in his own opinion. Daryl Davis, low-key, I'm just happy to have progress from the kid. Shout out. Yes, definitely. Let me see. Mario Moore said, I would say he's arriving if he has a similar game as he did against the Panthers. Consistency and growth is the key. Definitely agree with you on that. Let's see. King Booker, what's going on, man? Catfish 2289 arrived. No, on the way there. Yes. Drew says if the offense wins this game, then yes, he solidified his status as a number 1 QB. Daryl Davis said this game should be a real tell-all about your OC. And I agree. It's to a point where last week, like I've been saying, it takes a while for your offense to click. So to see, are we still doing the building blocks? Because it's not that I want Caleb to sit there and always throw the ball. I just want us to be smart when we win these games. But if it happens to be that the defense gives you a short field and now he can get a touchdown or two, he might get 3 touchdowns this game. Do we have a situation where the offense is clicking? Because even the running game is looking better. I mean, Swift is seeing things a lot better. Caleb being able to throw those little dump offs to him, and now you got these little screen passes. You got some breakdowns where Swift is doing some stuff, taking a 3-yard and getting a lot of yak. That's some good stuff. So all those things can add to Caleb having a really big game, because if he's able to really get better, especially with this opponent, it's very encouraging to see how that plays out. But I was looking at just more numbers, who Caleb was always being compared to, C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud came out week 1, 242 yards, 63% completion. Week 2, he threw for 384, 63% completion as well. Week 3, 280, 66. I mean, he came out firing. Week 4, 306. Week 5, 249 with 57% completion. Week 6, 199. Week 7, he didn't play. Week 8, 140. And that's how I thought Caleb would come out. I thought he would come out like, you know, he would throw kind of like what CJ did because they didn't have any tape on him. And then there would be this lull. So that's kind of what I thought, that a lot of like the Will Levis situation. Will Levis comes out, nobody knows what he can do. They go crazy, he throws for 300 some yards, and basically by the next game they got him figured out. So, that's kind of where I thought the trajectory of what Caleb would do. But what's great is more so of Caleb just getting incrementally better each week. Now that doesn't mean that he gets to 300 yards and then he's throwing for 400 and then he's throwing for 5 and then he's throwing for 6 and 7. Bear down, bears, none of that. But just a better, his football acumen, his recall, the speed, everything that of him, the game slowing down, allowing him to be in that top echelon of good quarterback play. But C.J. Stroud was a problem. Mitch. When I go back to Mitch's numbers, Mitch actually, so he didn't start, if you remember, like for 4 weeks, because Mike Glennon was out there. Mike Glennon was the quarterback, and he stunk it up so bad that Mitch was not supposed to start that rookie year. So he doesn't play till week 5. So he throws for 128 with a touchdown, an interception, 420 yards, 48% completion. Week 6, 113, 50% completion, 1 touchdown, zero interceptions. 107 yards, 107 yards with 57% completion. Week 8, 164, 44% completion, no touchdowns and interception. He didn't play week 9. Week 10, throws for 297, 60% completion, 1 touchdown, and no interception with a 97 QB rating. Then week 11, 179, week 12, 147, week 13, 102, week 14, 271, week 15, 314. So, you're going to see those type of things in terms of a rookie quarterback, trying to figure it out. But like I said, even Peyton Manning had a couple of games where 188, he had 188 yards the second game with 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. He had 193 yards in week 3, 45% completion with 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions with a 39.3 QBR rating. That's Peyton Manning, But then 309 yards, 59% completion, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. You're going to have those type of struggles, but to see Caleb, one, with the benefit of the schedule kind of playing out the way it's played out. And so, you get to a point where, he's on a trajectory where it looks good every week. And I like seeing that, especially out of him, especially as a number 1 pick. Let's see, let's go back to the chat and see what everybody else is saying. Trubisky was all right. So now you tried to make him a pure pocket passer. I think to your point, Crimson, you're right. A lot of times you're dealing with these coordinators or these coaches where it's based on our scheme and they got to fit this scheme. And I feel like one of the best examples of player development based off of a person's skill and talent is Lamar Jackson. Like, he came to Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was the quarterback, a year or 2 removed from winning the Super Bowl, and he fell off a cliff. They get Lamar. He's not a great passer, but what do? They get Greg Roman. They get Greg Roman. They switch out the entire offense to fit his skill set as he developed within that skill set. Sometimes you get the perfect marriage of a quarterback with the right coach. And, it stinks like with the Trubisky, even with Justin Fields. In my opinion, with Fields, he was on that, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, athletic quarterback type of path that allowed him to use his athleticism. The issue is that you don't stay healthy when you keep, running like that. You can't do the far extreme of the Cam Newtons of the world. You're not going to last long. You got to be able to read the defense. You got to be able to command the pocket and throw the ball from the pocket direct down the field. So, I think that a lot of these guys have talent coming into the league, but if you don't pair them with the right coach, the right system, that messes with their confidence. It messes with their timing. It messes with everything. I mean, I think David Carr is probably you know, David Carr is probably the best example of just set up to fail, right? Yeah, David Carr. He he got sacked so much, he got beat up so much. It got to a point where he regressed. You know, he was like a strong dude. He had all this talent, but he couldn't overcome that bad offensive line play. He couldn't have overcome all the woes that came with that franchise as a starting franchise. And, you know, it basically kind of left him broken, you know. And so I think that it gets to a point where Caleb, they did a much better job. The Bears, at least Ryan Poles and this organization, has done a better job of putting him in a position to succeed. Whether, you know, the idea is like, because I definitely know there was definitely grumblings in terms of like, we get Shane Waldron versus Kubiak's kid, right? Or the guy that's over there in Washington right now. What's his name? You know, it just left me. But, you know, you're putting the idea was quarterback development. And it definitely looked bad because between the offensive line not doing well, the scheme, and the coordinator getting used to all of this. Right, Baki? You know, because we're building a squad. We're getting used to everything. You know what I'm saying? You know, every week to week, you know. So to put Caleb in the best situation, to give him skill position players, all those type of things, which is pretty unprecedented for a number one pick, it's been great because now he doesn't. Thanks, Ebony says Cliff Kingsbury. It doesn't put him in a situation where, you know, he is set up to fail. You know, I mean, you think about like Matt Stafford. I mean, let's even look at Matt Stafford. I mean, Matt Stafford practically carried Detroit. You know, and he was number one pick out of Georgia. You know, week one, he threw for 205, 43% completion, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. You know, and mind you, Caleb was 93 yards, 48% completion, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But at least he didn't turn the ball over, you know. Stafford, week 2, 152 yards, 60% completion, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 56% QBR rating. Week 3, threw for 241 yards, 58% completion, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 87.8 QBR rating. 296 in week 4. Then I think he didn't play. He was inactive week 5 and 6. So 162, 203. He threw for 224. He had a big game. Week 10, 422 yards, 60% completion, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You know, with a QBR of 113. That's a monster game. Matter of fact, I wonder, based on this, based just off my initial list, that might be one of the best games of a rookie of the sample size that I just looked at. That's one of the biggest games. Yeah, that's very impressive, you know. But Stafford, let me see. When I go back to that, he had that was, I don't know who that was against. I just pulled the numbers from there, but 5 touchdowns. The next week he followed it with 213 yards, 46% completion, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, with a 30.5%, you know, 30.5 QBR rating. So, you know, that's that inexact. Oh, he might have got hurt because after that he didn't play the rest of that year. But, you know, definitely interesting to see, you know, where Caleb is, and based off some of these numbers and some of these metrics of just where Caleb's at, you know, it's just good to know that like we're not that far off, you know, or actually he's on a trajectory where he's doing a little bit better. And hopefully, I mean, we don't know if he's going to have a bad game versus like, you know, where he really kills us, because that game could happen. That may happen later on in the season, you know, when we play against some of the bigger, you know, the tougher teams. But, you know, either way, you know, just looking at that, I think I'm happy to see, like, if he wins this game, you know, just to tie it back, I would say that he's definitely positioning himself to be one of the top quarterbacks. What Breeze Nation, what would you say is your top? Give me your top 5. Who would you say is the top 5 of the quarterbacks? Have you seen like Nick Wright and his Mahomes Mountain? And has anybody seen that? You know, I definitely seen that Caleb has definitely moved up in terms of just being on the mountain, which is great, especially for a rookie quarterback in general. Because, you know, we definitely know we got Jaden Daniels out there who's doing his thing. And I can't wait to see what he does when we play them, 2 weeks from now? It's going to be very interesting. Right, I'd be crazy one day. Super Bowl is Poles, Caleb versus Nagy Mahomes. That would be kind of interesting. Let's see. Matthew Ebony Sales says Matthew Stafford is a Eli Manning tier quarterback overall. You think so? I disagree with you, bro. Matthew Stafford, first of all, when he had to, he was toiling away in Detroit. He goes over to the Rams. If he left the Rams if he went to the Rams 5 years earlier, 4 years earlier, I bet you they win more championships. Jason, Jared Goff they went to the championship with Goff and they lost it. Like Stafford was a dog. You know what I'm saying? I got all these dang sound effects over here. I'm just been so busy. We ain't cracked no jokes. We just been talking. But I can't. Eli Manning to me definitely. Don't get me started on Eli Manning. I appreciate Eli Manning. I think he definitely benefited from a strong running game, a great defense, and he got hot when it needed to get hot. And I bet you what it is that I think the funny thing about Eli is that it's more about because he was so consistently inconsistent. Most teams didn't know how to scheme for him. So when he got hot, it's like we're not used to him doing that. Like when did he do that? Like that Super Bowl game, for example, was just like he got out of the pocket. The clock was running in his head. He sits there, he throws that ball. Wasn't they catches off the helmet? There's nothing you can do about that. But the fact that they protected him, they had what Earth, Wind, and Fire. You had what Justin Tuck and your boy the Gap. I mean, you had a straight hand. Like they had a really good team. They had Plaxico. They had Plaxico before he shot himself, right? I can't say that Stafford is an Eli Manning type guy. No, I think Eli was good enough to do well when he needed him to on a really good team. Stafford, all he had was who? Where's Don Burr at? Don Burr knows. He should be well versed in this. But Stafford had what? Megatron? Did they have a decent line? They didn't get a good line until after they started actually working on drafting the line. So no, I think that Stafford was a product of the prototypical number one pick quarterback going to a bad team, and he carried them pretty much the whole time. I can't say that Eli did that. Eli had these up and down type seasons. Like you can't say that he really carried the squad. More like he did enough to kind of get out of the way. I mean, we can look it up. Matter of fact, why don't we look it up? But Staff. My whole point though of bringing up Stafford, Baker Mayfield, all these guys, number one picks going to bad teams and having the talent, and we're in a much better situation with Caleb. But I like the fact that what's happening is Caleb's not going to necessarily get beat up to the point where he doesn't regress and he can kind of get ahead of the game, establish himself possibly by the end of the season. He can really be doing his thing. Shout out to Pat, the designer. What's going on, homeboy? Actually, you know what? Oh man, Pat won last night. God dang it! It was his time last night with Monopoly. I had a shot. We took Jordan and Calvin out. But I was trying to get the last red, and it was $1,500 in free parking, and it couldn't get there. And I had one bad roll, and he took me out. He had Boardwalk and Park Place, so it was a wrap. But Drew was saying Megatron and no defense. He said just hopping off the water. Yeah, Pat had a much deserved break. So he's one of the hardest working men out here. Shout out to my guy Pat. And shout out to all my guys on the squad. Jordan. Shout out to Ringo. We miss him. If people have been asking, we really appreciate you guys asking about Ringo. He's just been dealing with. He's just under the weather. It takes him a while to recover. Yes, I know, Pat. You technically won too. No. Well. Question for the group. So when you have to count up all of your assets, do you count mortgage properties as the value of them, or are they basically if you mortgage them, do you count them for what the mortgage value is, or do you still count them for the property it is because you still hold that property? If Boardwalk is worth $400 and then you mortgage it for $200, it's still worth that. Just a question, just curious. But Rob Antol said both are different types of quarterbacks, but both are not elite quarterbacks, so they may be second tier. If you buy Monopoly and don't buy the projects, you ain't playing for real. Man, Dude, I love, by the way, getting Mediterranean Baltic. Quick $500. I got hotels. It's a wrap, I'm with you. Let's see. They used to call him Stat Pafford. Yeah, I mean, he was Stat Pafford, but what else do they have over there in Detroit? You know. So I mean, but with that being said, I mean, this is a great time to be a Bears fan. Seeing, barring injury, barring anything else, Caleb doing well. Very excited to see what he's doing. I hope the young man continues to just as he takes this serious. He's taking the game serious. He's taking he understands the magnitude of what it means to be a Bears quarterback. I think he wants it. I think he wants, like, he can literally own this city. And it's going to be. Hopefully, we just get to a point where we are definitely, it's just a competitive squad, and we count. And we matter for each game. Let's see. You count thank you, Mario Moore. You count the value of the property. But Catfish said it's actually a debt and should be subtracted. Dang it. It's 1-1. Noah says mortgage value unless different in house rules. See? Let's see. Brotherhood 8-9. Super producer. You could see Kyle Gordon go outside and you can have Jack Sanborn in for more snaps. Could I see that? Well, them switching in terms of, I guess it just depends on the personnel they have out there. Because this other thing, Jacksonville still has, by the way, a running game. Like they still got, we're still susceptible to a 100-yard guy. Like, I think we've given up 100 yards practically almost every running back that we've played so far. Not saying that means like 100 yards is okay because we're still blowing these teams out, but there's been like a breakdown. So the reason you have Jack in there is him playing, basically he's acting as another linebacker in a 4-3 versus more of a nickel with Stevenson. So I would think that they stay next to they might stick back to their game plan. Pet design with Cicero. Mortgage value. So, okay. So technically we're not counting mortgage value. That means Calvin won. Yes, V-Dog, if you just saw my last image that I just put up, I just shouted out how Poles had basically just shouted out Caleb. So I appreciate you. Bigsby ain't no punk. Yeah, exactly. We still can't overlook this squad, 100%. So let me see what we got going on after this topic 2. So you know what? We'll go ahead. I think what we got to do real quick is I guess we got to pay some bills, depending on if I have it loaded up over here. And we're going to take a quick time out. Let me see. Which is that? Is that it? There it is. We'll be right back after these messages.
In Bears Nation, it's your boy Pat, the designer from the Windy City Breeze, where we keep it 100 about everything Chicago Bears. Now, if you're like me, you don't just watch the game, you live it, and that's why you need to check out BetDSI. BetDSI is where it's at if you want to put your money where your mouth is. They've been doing it for over 20 years, giving you the best odds, lightning fast payouts, and a platform that's as solid as the best O-line. Whether you're betting on the Bears to take it all the way or making clutch live bets during the game, BetDSI has you covered. And here is the kicker. Just because you're rolling with the Windy City Breeze, BetDSI is hooking you up. Sign up today with the promo code WCB, and they'll give you 120% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. That's free money, folks, to make sure that you're winning as you back our boys in the blue and orange. So what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Head over to betdsi.eu, use the code WCB, and start turning your Bears passion into serious cash. BetDSI, where real Bears fans get it done.
All right, and we're back. Thank you all for sticking with me on the show. First time super producer over here, actually hosting the show and producing. It's so weird because I'm so used to like running everything and then chiming in, and it's so different to like actually run all of it and still do all the graphics and everything else. But if you can, do me a favor, man, like and subscribe. Tap in with us. We see that really appreciate all the new subscribers that's joined with us. It's a very humbling feeling, and we really appreciate that. Moving on. So the next topic I had for the show was, does Rome have a breakout game? Like, I know that he's basically been dealing with that knee injury, and hopefully he's getting better, each week. But, you'd like to see, you start to hear the little rumblings like, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a little game here, your boy Neighbors here and there, even I think Brian Thomas had something, and Rome had 112 yards, 2 games ago? Omar, you want the aura? You want the Aura promo? Look, I'm just happy I'm doing good to keep 180 some people in the chat. So I don't want to lose everybody else. It's like we only got Joel and we got all these commercials. No, we'll get back to that one. But does Rome have a breakout game? You know, shout out to Pterodactyl Pops. I love that name. That is hilarious to me. I'd like to see more out of him. In you know, uh, technically, I would have rather gone another direction at the ninth pick. I was, I definitely was on the draft day. Was like, great. I would rather, not that I don't like him. I appreciate that we have a talent like him. I just felt like I want my offensive line and my defensive line shored up. So for him, I'd like to see what happens. Later on in this year with him. Do we get that Caleb to Rome connection that we're looking for? You know, uh, Thank you, Mario. I made that beat. When did I make that beat? That I made that track some years ago, and I'm telling you, it was a throw in just to have something because I haven't been really producing a lot of music as of late, and I've just been real busy with a bunch of other projects, and like I'm just been hectic. And I can't wait to get back to doing that. And so I was just like, let me just find something and throw it in there that'll work. And so I appreciate the feedback from that. Actually, it feels good to people like that beat. Uh, let's see. I messed with the beat. They double and Shane puts Rome in position. He may have the biggest day. That's the thing with this secondary and them giving up points. If they're averaging 28 points, giving up 28 points a game, and mind you that I think the Jags just showed up. I think they just showed up at in England, right? Like, so they got the lag. I'm not. I mean, that could be a factor. They may be adjusted. Who knows? But the fact is that you know, do we see a breakout because of this secondary? Because they don't necessarily have a great secondary. They're better against the run. The Jags are. So I'd like to see. Do we see Rome? Like I would like to see sometime soon if this is the game that he actually has one. Maybe 150 yards. Or maybe it's not even that. It's just a couple deep passes that we've been wanting to see that connection where that time is just off. We have definitely seen Rome in position to catch the ball in the end zone, and it's just been, there's been these moments like, the back of the end zone here, or it's just a little too high, or it's hitting his hands, and maybe like the game is starting to slow down for him too a little bit, where now he's understanding that the speed of this game is for real. Let me see what we got going on. Let me go. Shout out to brother. He said, I like how we with super producer, we at least don't have ice cream moments. King Booker World thinks that Keenan goes off this game. I did mention that yesterday. Do we see Keenan? But I just would hope to see, like, in general, an overall wide receiver group that, Caleb is starting to really hit his guys, Robin Toll said, coaches have said it's easier to play outside cornerback in this defense as well. Always okay, that's on the defensive side of things. Kevin Corporell, bear down everyone. Let's go Bears. Shane O'Mac, the Mac said, gonna be Keenan game or Komet, but Rome gonna make some splash plays too. And I think that would be the thing. Again, so much of it. I mean, how many times have we heard where people are saying that, Rome is open? And is Caleb turning the page of, making his 1 to 2 to 3 reads, which is exciting, Shout out to Noah P. Busy with a bunch of bathroom remodels. To be honest with you, 100% no joke. I'm literally trying to move. I'm rehabbing this property right now. I'm putting a shower surround in for the bathroom. Yes, it was driving me crazy. I didn't even feel like tiling it. I just this is a temporary spot because I got another project I want to do later on. So yes, I have been busy burning the candle on both ends. I'm trying to do a lot, personal life stuff, new marriage, producing the show, and having a blast. It's just I wish there was more time in the day. But yeah, so back to this point though, this Rome, shout out to what's up, cuz Jeremy, what's happening? For brotherhood for fantasy purposes, for fantasy, yes, we definitely would like to see if Rome. I have Rome in a couple leagues, and I have Keenan in some others, and I'm doing terrible in fantasy this year. Like Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, it's whatever. But it is what it is. Robin Toll says, no win in London, so Caleb will be accurate if he's on. That is encouraging. That's very encouraging to know that if the weather does play into that. And real quick, man, we got 200 in the chat. We got 200 in the chat. Try to do my best Pat. No, I'm not Pat. I can't do all that. We're more subdued here with the Super Producer Show. We like to give you facts. We love to give you stats. You know what I'm saying? We like to stay focused. There are no ice cream moments where we're not doing that. So, but to the point of, I'm just excited to see this team stacking wins, our players getting better, but there's still a lot of factors, right? Offensive line play, losing Tevin. Now, I saw the injury report. Oh, I forgot to load up the injury report. But I believe they said that Tevin actually was limited. I could be wrong. Let me double check that. Let me see if I can find that. Because, just getting our offensive line, up and at least consistent. Because that means, what are we talking about? Who's our boy? What's the other guy? Not Doug. It was the other. What's the other line? The tackle, the other guard they were talking about playing. We just talked about him yesterday. Shout out to Jay Greer, the super producer of Emotional Intelligence Show. All the stats and facts minus the beige rays. That's right, baby. Let me look if I can look this up real quick, as y'all bear with me, because I wanted to double check that the injury report. Man, who was that? I had to look that up. Let's see. Chicago Bears injury. Here we go. So Tevin is listed as questionable, not necessarily out, because Tyreek is definitely doubtful. I think they have him practically about to be out. So Jaquan Brisker, Pickens, and Terrell Smith are all out. Tyreek Stevenson is doubtful. But I heard Eberflus say that Tevin did pretty good. He was limited, and so he was questionable. And then Jacob Martin is questionable with the toe. Mercedes Lewis had practiced. He did not practice, but he's a full participant. No, he did practice on Friday. And Kyler Gordon did also practice on Friday as well. So, Bill Murray, thank you. Who was number one? Mario Moore, thank you. Bill Murray was number one. Just seeing, does the line keep getting, are they getting cohesively better? Is the scheme getting better, which now opens up the passing game so that, like I said, does Rome have a breakout game? It may not even be Rome. It could basically be Komet, like you said. It could be Keenan. But I would definitely like to see Rome, get some shine. I mean, it's been about 5 weeks now? Week 6, it'll be 4 and 2, so it'll be 6. Yeah, this is the 6th week. Just because there is the law of averages. The law of averages does state that, for the most part, there is a barometer. There's only so many yards in the season. There's only so many receptions. So, take, for example, like our boy Christian McCaffrey. For him to do the year that he had last year, he had to pay for that this year. It's just the law of averages. So with Rome, right now he's kind of like sputtering. But for him to be the talent that he is, well, he should get to a point where we're going to see some games out of him, and the talent will, the cream rises to the top. Let's see. Let me see. We got the win. Let's see. Rob, feel good. King Book of World. If Tevin plays, please move him to the right guard and let Billy play left guard. So, did you hear Eberflus talk about that? No, was it Eberflus? I think it was Eberflus. No, I read something. I might be wrong. I know what I heard, but I don't know who it was from. But they said basically they just want to keep the players at the same position. Yes, Tevin can play right guard, but they have had him stay at left guard. They kind of want to keep him in place. I don't think it makes sense to me, because I agree that if the best combination was him at right guard, but I guess the problem was you expected Nate Day-to-Day Davis to be the right guard. And he's better at right guard because he can't play left guard. Tevin is good enough to play both positions, which, is disappointing. So they figured we're going to keep him at left guard. We're not going to switch things around. So that's why Pryor was getting in, because Pryor go ahead and play right guard. We're going to keep Tevin where he's at. because we got my man on ice skates over there, Braxton over there on the left side. It is what it is. But the line, I agree with you, V-Dog. The lines look much better without Nate Davis. I just think, and I think also Shane O'Mac, the Mac said, I think Tev will play through the injury with wanting a new contract. Hey, that's the name of the game. You want to get paid, definitely. And I like Tevin. It's just disappointing he can't stay healthy, And if he can stay healthy, that would be great because again, we get this line right, we get the protection, which gives our quarterback to be able to throw the ball to all of our talent, which leads us right back to Rome. And I'm hoping that we can get that happening where, who said that? Somebody said the King Galaxy, the Rome is always open. And I think a lot of receivers say they're open, but it just depends. Let me see. Nate Day, Daryl Davis. No play, Nate is no play, Nate is cook. I like that one. No play, Nate. But we're getting to that point where I'm encouraged to see where we are. The skill position players are starting to get healthy. I mean, to me, I think it's a little bit of CO conspiracy. I think that the NFL, I think there's talk that they may go to 18 games, right? And so if you look at the grand scheme of things, it's 18 games. How many preseason games, right? They got rid of the one preseason game. So, these teams are still using them the first few weeks to actually get into shape because they're not really practicing. And if they go to 18 games, then they're going to have probably two preseason games. So they're going to keep the schedule the exact same way. But, to see a lot of guys rounding into shape, so training camp injuries, things of that nature. And that's probably why Keenan really hasn't been ready yet because he's probably really ramping up for week 6 or 7 all the way through the rest of the year. I don't know. What do you guys think? I asked the nation. How do you feel like Matt Pryor has played the last couple of games? Question from V-Dog. I think he's been serviceable. I think it's more about the scheme and the coaching of. I can't believe that all these Bears linemen are just that bad. I think there are some, but I think it's understanding your personnel and what they do. I think in heart of hearts that Shane is getting more tape. He's understanding what the strengths of each guy is. And then he's able to, okay, now I can break down what you're doing wrong in these plays because I didn't have any reference for you guys because I was in Seattle last year. So with 5 weeks of tape, okay, we're starting to see some things. Braxton, you might need this. We might need to slide something here. Pryor, you do well. Nate, you day to day. You know what? The heart isn't in it. We don't want it, But I don't think you're never going to get perfection because still, this is a middling line. You got one or two guys. And back to Baki, we're still building a squad. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to definitely keep building this team as we move forward. Vidal Shefty said it'll be 18 games beginning next year. Robin Toll said Pryor had the one bad pass block play that led to Caleb's sack and fumble, but at least he recovered. That's true. Isn't that interesting? Just kind of circle back to that. I appreciate that Caleb, he's definitely has some interceptions, but it's like when he's thrown the interceptions, outside of what game was that? Was that the second game where he killed us? The Colts game was all right, we'll be back. And, we had a chance. We were always in the game, even when he threw the interceptions. But I do like the fact that Caleb is he was 94 touchdowns, 10 interceptions in college. That is huge. 94 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He doesn't turn the ball over. That's great because he has the mentality of trying to, he makes some plays here or there and be able to dissect and, throw the ball. But he's not trying to, he protects the ball, which is a great asset to have. 3 sacks given last game is not too bad. I mean, yeah, things are getting better. I just think overall, all of this is all tied together. Offensive line, offensive coordinator, rookie quarterback, all those things being said, help. All right. So with that being said, I think we can move on to the Friday free-for-all. And as we start to wind the show down. So let me see. Let me switch this back over here and put that back over there. We're going to go foul. You know what I'm saying? Bow. Actually, I had a Friday. Wait, I had a Friday free. There we go. Whoop. I think I got that. I nope, didn't load that up. Bring it back. Anyways, um, so I got an interesting topic, right? So, and this could be controversial. It could be. Kind of, Pat and I had a discussion not too long ago where we were talking about top albums, right? Greatest albums, like a complete album. What do you think was a perfect album? So I was thinking this. I said, how about this? What's the best pair of Jordans? And I'm talking from 1 to 14. Okay? I should have set it up. The best pair of Jordans. What is the greatest pair of Jordans? Right? So I had put together a quick little graphic because I have my favorites. Oh, I meant to put that back up there. Bring that back. And where's my Friday? Bring it back. Bring it back. As we round out the show, bring it back. Bring them back. The barrels in their mouth. There we go. Boom. Let me see. Where did I put it? I put it over. Where did I put it? Put it. So, for me, actually, I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna pull it up. Because I think, let me see. I got it. Yes, there it is. Bam. Here we go. Bam. All right, let me switch this out. I got to drop this, take this off. And there we go. So I tiered this, okay? The top tier are my favorites. The second tier, still love them. The third tier, and then the fourth tier are just not my favorites at all. And I've never liked the twos. I've never liked the sixes, the sevens, and I think those are the nines. But my number ones are fives. I love the fives. I just think that the colorway there's so many options that you have with the colorways. I'm gonna shrink this down here, and there we go. Boom. So, as I've gotten older, as a more mature man, I like the ones. The ones you definitely can, the colorways, the different, options. I actually appreciate the ones more, especially the ones in the top left. Those were I like that. I like that Bulls color. The 11s, man, patent leather, iconic, shut it down. The only reason why I put them as my number 2 is because I don't like them in the other colorways. To me, they look the best as they are with the ones that they first came out with. But the fives, I mean, every colorway you put out there pretty much looks good to me. I love them. And then the fours, which are basically the color, the fours. I like how Tinker Hatfield was saying that, so the fours, they basically were kind of like mimicking, or inspiration was the basketball nets. But the fives, they were basically kind of going after like a Apache plane. So like the stylings that they did for that. But I just felt like that those fives were my favorites. Why do I not, Carlos? Let's see, who's saying they don't know Jordans? Me, Carlos? I'm saying these are my favorites. I will not be shamed. Of my favorites. You can tell me what your favorites are. I'm just saying what mine are. I know what shoes I like. Okay. And so I'm just saying that's my top tier. The ones, the 11s, the fives, and the fours are my favorites. And I would go 5, 11, 4, and then 1. In that second tier, my first ever pair of Jordans, because my dad wouldn't buy me any Jordans, were the 12s. I bought them when I graduated high school. That's when they first came out. I paid like $150 for them. What's interesting is them 13s, those He Got games. Actually, I got these on right now. They're the most comfortable Jordans in my opinion. And then the threes, I always like the threes too. Let's see let's see what Breeze Nation is talking about. Let's see. We got a few in here. So Drew said the fours. Shane O'Mac, the Max at the flu games. Now we'll get back to the music. Alien Express, definitely Nas in terms of albums. Let's see. King Booker said, never owned a pair of Jordans in my life. Now, is that by choice? Did it, I don't know how old you are. Did it like outgrow? Like I had to come back and get some of the stuff I wanted. KD said 11s and 1s for me. Jay Grizz, that's a very good topic. We have to come back to that. We'll be right back. Let's see. Flint 13s. Nate built it, said Flint 13s or Son of Mars 4s because Spike Lee in the bottom corner of the shoe is hilarious. Let's see. Shane O'Mac, the Max at the Flu Game Mikes. Alien Express at Jordan 11. Robin told best Jordan Brett 11. The Brett 11s, yes. There are. I mean, look, I ain't an idiot. I mean, the Concords, the breads, and most of the breads work in most of these shoes, in my opinion. Let's see. The 12s have great bounce to them. The 13s too, because they're newer tech. Yes, I agree. Jay Gris said, I love the 12s, bro, in all black and with a little red. Robin toasted those black 5s back in 2025. King Booger said, I was PO growing up and I couldn't afford the others. So I got used to not having nice stuff. So now if y'all want to discuss them Pro Wings, holla at me. Bruh, I can relate. I had this funny story where I had to be in like 6th grade. No, 5th grade going to 6th grade. Story time. I don't know if I want to tell the story. I don't know if I want to tell the story. Well, I might as well. So I'm asking for, if y'all remember, the El Cortezes, the Nike Air Cortezes. And so my dad had made this commandment. He's like, I'm not paying more than my age for shoes. And I was like, he's only like 35 years old. So I'm like screwed because he came from a generation where they used to go to the beauty supply store and get some shoes for like $7. And, at this time, I mean, Jordans are like $80, $89, $95. It's, because Jordan changed the whole game for shoes. So I'm like, man, I'm like screwed going into 6th grade. I go to the mall. This is, I grew up over in Matson. So we go to the Lincoln Mall. And I'm asking my mom, like, I'm begging her because I'm walking through this. I'm like, what's the cheapest Nike I could get so people just leave me alone? And so I'm walking around. I go to Foot Locker. They got the El Cortezes. They're $80. I'm like, that's not going to happen. So I'm just depressed. I'm walking through the mall. And I go past Lady Foot Locker. And I see the exact same black El Cortez joints, like the Forrest Gump looking running shoes, all black, but they're the women's version. So I'm like, oh, and they're 60 some dollars. I said, I might be able to pull this one off. And I'm begging my mom, please, mom, please, please, please. And I said, can I get these in a size? Because I think I wore a 10. So I was like, a women's 12. I wore down. She got me the shoes. I'm like, thank you, mom. Please, thank you so much. And I get home and I'm sitting there like, thank you. I can live with some of the thrift clothes, whatever, but at least I got a pair of Nike so these kids leave me alone. And my dad comes home and he's like, $60, send them back. And I mean, if that could have did the no, like Darth Vader, like Anakin, no. And I mean, there's another part to that story. But what's funny is she comes back and they give me Pro Wings and McGregor's. And I mean, and these are the Pro Wings that look like they look like the whack Chuck Taylors or something like that. And to make it worse, my mom used to make jewelry back in the day. I don't know if anybody had those parents that, they had that like plasticky stuff and could make earrings and backings and all that mess. I figured I could take the dang jewel stuff that she was putting in there and I could basically bedazzle I'd bedazzled my freaking Pro Wings thinking I can make it look like Chuck's. Man, they clown me so bad. And, but it was like, one day I'm going to get the Jordans. But, as my dad would say, builds character. So I ended up getting my own. And I got my own collection and all that type of stuff. But yeah, man, McGregor's, Pro Wings, I had all that stuff. I had British Knights. I thought British Knights actually were kind of popular. I had them in 3rd grade or something like that. What was some other like I had Reeboks, but for some reason it was like at that time, just couldn't get them. Daryl Davis, yes, it's crazy how many stores have left Matson. Mario says, shout out Rays out in Harvey. Did anyone ever rock the D Rose? The finisher said the D Rose. I have a couple great playing for LeBron Soldiers. 12s are great too. I do feel like I didn't like how thin those shoes were for Derrick Rose. If you notice around that time period, Dwight Howard, James Harden, and Rose all got injured. but you're playing on such thin shoes, and there's no shock absorption. I think that really like aged his body, you know. So never had those shoes. The only more recent pair of shoes that I liked the Curry. I think the Curry ones. I had a pair, maybe Kevin Durant's. I cannot do LeBron's. I just can't. I there's one pair I think that came out 4 or 5 years ago that was like, oh, these don't actually look bad. I just can't wear them. I just think though that the funniest joke of all time is nobody's killing people over LeBron's. And if you grew up like we grew up, man, that was a big deal, man. Jordan's being released. How many people left high school to go to the Foot Locker or go to the mall to get your J's, man? And it was such an exclusive thing to get them, which is why people were getting robbed. And then Jordan came under a lot of fire because of the whole inner city issue of people trying to get, Jordans and stuff like that. King Booker said, my most expensive shoes ever owned were a pair of four-stripe Adidas. Yeah, you got. Definitely got. That is too funny, man. But look, man, I'm gonna go ahead and close this show out, man. I really appreciate you guys rocking with me, man. I hopefully I did a good job, holding down the fort. This is my first time being able to actually host the whole show. I see you out there. Shout out to my brother Jordan Clemens out, JC. And on behalf of everybody, man, behalf of for Pat, for Ringo, for Kid, for C-Dub, for JC, and for Drew, held it down. Hopefully going to the weekend, let's get this Bear dub, and hopefully we see everybody on Monday. So we're gonna close this thing out, man. So shout out to y'all. Have a good weekend.